Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Ripster Daily Trade Recaps and Teachings. What a day guys, solid day, the patience paid. The days like today is when I say you have to be patient. Big earnings season coming up, there are going to be a lot of opportunities, and that's what happened today, right? So there was bullish breakout on the market, continuation after the dip. So we'll discuss all that, solid day, how we long the market, breakouts, NVDA long, the market long, SMCI, coin, all those long trades, spot. We will discuss that. Solid day. Before I start that, just a little quick introduction. So these recaps and teachings are from the trades that I take or I do not take, but I guide my community through the various trades using our repeatable setups, repeatable system. We try to see where did we make money, where did we lose money, why did we lose money, and how did we make money, what was our execution. We do not trade random. We have strict repeatable setup. You have to trade a repeatable system, repeatable setup if you want to be successful. That's what we do. I have my own strategies that I teach everyone, my own repeatable system. Understand the difference between system and setups. So we do that day in, day out. System is how you trade, setup is what you trade. Anyways, to find these setups every day, my team is up few hours before the market open. We go through all the new sources, upgrade, downgrades, pre-market gap ups, gap downs, and we may come up with what we call is a game plan. This was today's game plan. There were a bunch of names today, but there was too much to focus on, but we focused on the few names which once these trigger based upon support and resistance pivot, we take those trades. Like GE was there, like there was Novartis, Pepsi. These were all the names today. SAP did not trigger. General Motor was the breakout. So we'll discuss all those trades. In addition to that, there's also what we call as daily levels, which we provide our community every day. Support and resistance pivots, which help us trade our SPY, QQQ. The names we trade every day, which are market dependent, AMD, NVDA, Netflix, and all those names. These levels really came handy for today's breakout. We'll discuss that. In addition to that, I create what I call as my day 2, day 3 setups. These are the setups which are repeatable. This is the strategy that I invented based upon the stocks which have news from day 4 yesterday and a few days prior. Any of these triggers with volume, we take them long or short based on what we see. Netflix was a long today, American Express was long, Verizon was a long. If I see something, I type it the commentary, I tell on the voice that this is the setup. So we'll discuss few of those which triggered for us today and see how that panned out. So that being said, let's go start with our recap with the first play of the today. Again, we're going to start with SPY QQQ. So we're going to start with SPY QQQ. So what was the plan on SPY QQQ today? So let's look at our market, SPY, QQQ, SPX. If you are a SPY trader, QQQ trader, or SPX trader, you really did good. And especially if you are in our community, we really did good on SPY, QQQ. It was pretty straightforward today. There was not like yesterday chop, right out of the gate, we had a breakout. And what breakout was that? That was over yesterday highs. Before the market opened, I went on voice and I did tell everyone what is the plan for today. I explained my plan that the breakout over yesterday highs will give us a bullish breakout trade that we can trade long. That will give us conviction on our long setups. So there's some of my time-stamped comments. You can see that I said QQQ breakout out there out of the yesterday highs, right? There was some rejections on the amateur move, and I said we need the breakout of yesterday's highs to give us confidence in the long. Yesterday's highs, the same concepts I teach again and again. You don't need any crazy indicators or anything crazy, right? It's a simple price action. Keep your charts clean, trend and the levels, and this was the breakout. That's where we took long. You see I was 40% off on my QQQ calls, which were actually went further as well, but that was the breakout long. If you want to look at the levels, so look at the levels: 501, 502, 196, 195, all these levels, 502 area, 196, 422 area. So you see these levels which I provided in the pre-market also help with the bias. The first move breakout, then the retest and the push. Breakout, on the amateur move, retest and the push, and it was all day long then, right? There was not really a short. It tried to fail down here. We tried to scalp it, but again, you know, there's a 505. There was a strong bidder today. If you do, today was a great lesson in tape reading, because you see this range. If you saw the tape today, every time it came here, first it was having hard time going over it. When it went over it, you know, the bidder came right back. Dip 505 buy, dip 505 buy, dip 505 buy, dipped under 505, again buy, came back to 505, buy, 505 buy. So all day there was a bidder. So you need to understand that there are bigger forces in play here. They buy, who are running the algos, the funds, the machines. They're running this bid and asks. So if they don't allow it to tank, it will not tank. It will stay there, right? So that was the plan today on SPY QQQ. Was all day long for us. A lot of my commentary on voice, you will not see that, and you can see that how I was explaining all day about SPY QQQ long. So all day, great winnings for the community. A lot of talk, you know, there's a lot of chat discussions on the floor on our SPY QQQ, SPY as well, you know. So yeah, so that was SPY QQQ today. Let's go to the next. All right, guys, the next one we're going to discuss is spot. So spot, what was the game plan? So there first we have a pre-market game plan. Right, they beat the earning estimates, you know, the sales beat, so they were looking good. So our plan was to trade versus 300. Support was 294, and resistance was 294, support was 286. It needs to hold 300, and we will trade versus 300. So that was our plan. So there was no fluke. We have a plan. So you see the plan. That was a star play, because that was one of the more important plays that we were watching. And then what happened at the open? I saw the strength. I took some long. You know, I was in 520 calls, or you could do the shares as well. And it's pushed right away from the open. It pushed 311s. That's fine. 304 adds, 304 adds, 303 adds. We risk $2-3 to 300. Then it pulls back to 512. This is the retest. Okay, this is the retest. Holds the 512 trend. This is another one of my teachings that I teach, that you can add that it's a 512 pullback adds, and you long there, and then again test of 315. You know, you can take some off here and see what happens. Pullback again, held 512, never really broke 512. Then finally the 315 breakout comes. You can pause and see my comments here. So what did I say? I said 315 needs to break. What target did I give? The target I gave was early at 11 a.m. was 320 by end of the day, and we were 70 cents short. That's fine, right? Still a great trade. From 305 went to 319. You know, you could easily make, yes, $10, $12, $13 per share, per share, and risk like $3 per share. That's a good 1 to 3 risk reward. 320 options went 20% here. You just have to have patience, right? Even if you take 1 to contracts, you let them work. You let them work as long as 300 holds. And that was not by fluke. I gave the plan in the pre-market, and yeah, you can see my all day timestamped guidance. I said I was long in 931. So that was a great win in the community today, spot. And there was another setup that was 512 breakdown at here in middle of the day. You could trade this 512 B minus short. I want all these repeatable setups are in my webinars. You go watch them if you're a community member. All right, guys, the next one we're going to talk about is NVDA. So let's go and check NVDA. What was the plan on NVDA? So NVDA was another one for us guys today that was all day long for us, all day long. Remember, we held some NVDA over from yesterday, right? We held some NVDA over from yesterday. So we were already profitable. And that's why then I added into the position on NVDA. So look at, right at open 931 is when I said I added to the position on NVDA. We were swinging it, and the reason, few reasons. The first reason was that we had this morning pre-market nice level, right? Then we had these QQQ breakout that I just showed you. So that was giving us a confidence. And then we traded a flag breakout live in front of everyone. So let me show you that flag breakout, right? So I was showing this flag, you can see it right here, and everybody was asking like some ARIP, it's not a flag. So it doesn't have to be flag, the textbook flag, how you see it. This is still a flag, it's still a consolidation. Maybe I can go, I can show you what I tweeted on Twitter. So let me see, I can show you that, and then we'll look at it and see. the life cycle of that breakout. So here you go, let me show you. So this was the life cycle of NVIDIA breakout. So life cycle breakout. So you see that at open I said add it to the position, then I said it's flagging, and you see this is flagging. I told everybody flag is breaking out, then boom, the flag broke out. We pushed to 820s, 814 seller cleared, and then we pushed to 825. So from 805s to 825s, the options went 30-40%, and was a beautiful trade on NVIDIA long right in front of you. No BS, everything showing step by step. Let me show you this breakout once again. So this was the flag setting up, and there we go, the flag breakout, right? So that was the flag setting up and the flag breakout right in the morning, and that's where we we gain. And then it was breaking 512, that's fine, but then it will pull back to 3450, and then we get a 3450 bounce, and then you get another setup to long it versus 3450. This was another one of the midday setups, the flag midday flag setup, 3450 bounce, and then NVIDIA would push higher, and it's still holding some, and nice news after hours. So NVIDIA is still paying us. So beautiful trade, NVIDIA guys. Hopefully lot to learn from NVIDIA. I showed you live the breakout, and everybody really killed it in the community. So now let's look at SMCI. So what was SMCI doing? SMCI was another one which was a long. I discussed in yesterday's video SMCI as well, that as long as we hold this 710, we're gonna push it. And if you watch my videos, you really banged, because I explained the setups for next day as well. So let's look at the levels. The levels I gave was 740, 734, 734, 740. You long, you risk maybe $10 risk you add here, a little more risk if you add 744, and then because market is breaking out, QQQ is breaking out, so you see that breakout, so you long. So that's what I told everybody, nice long over the daily pivots. Sometimes I'm late, but a lot of the traders in the community already executing based upon this level. But I still try to give the targets, I still try to let everybody know, right? My first target I gave was 770, and that was early in the morning. I gave the 770 target at 10 a.m. and then we met, then I gave 800 target, and then we met that 800 target, not really, but we met 793. So when you get so close and you see some selling, you just take the profits, and once it breaks 512, you get completely out. So you see it breaks 512, it always pulls back to 3450, so that's why you get out of 512. But anyways, it was a nice long, nice pre-market levels, nice guidance, another good trade, beautiful there, SMCI. So another one that I was a long in community was coin. And as always, we already have for the coin was that I think I missed the levels today, but the coin I explained on the voice that this is the level, right? There's a two breakouts, 230, and then this is the breakout. So that's when it was breaking out. I gave everybody the breakout long, and the risk was 223. So I gave the risk, I gave the breakout, I gave the long, and then my target was 235. That was my first target, and then there was my second target was 238 and 240, and we almost met 240, right? So you can see that my breakout idea was at 1045, and from my breakout idea we went on to hit 240, right? There's no magic needed. You see the strength, you take the strength. If I'm confident about some trade, I share with the community, but you can see my timestamp guidance and you can see the move. And we're still holding coin. I told yesterday as well, hold the coin. So overnight, coin was overnight winner, and coin was a winner. I think still have a lot of room. If market keeps pushing, we still have a lot of room for coin to push. Beautiful trade, coin. Let's go to the next one. So let's look at the Tesla now. So for Tesla, I'm gonna discuss the morning trades, and then I'm gonna discuss the plan I gave for the after hours and why that is important, right? Why it's important. So in the morning, I gave everybody Tesla long versus 143. I did not give it long right away. When it turned bullish, that's when I gave a Tesla long, right? When it was 945, 955, when it was turning bullish, 144s, that's where I gave it long, and it pushed to 146, pulled back, held 512s, pushed, held 512s and pushed into 147, right? So you were risking $1. By the end of the day, you made like $3-4, right? And then you get out. I never encourage to hold through the earnings. So that was their morning trade. You can see that 143, 144's gap fill target. We met all our target. So that was our Tesla long today. So that's the one thing. Now, what was the plan for the earnings? Let's see, right? So what I gave was, so this is exactly what I tweeted as well. 150 area is a bullish pivot. If it can't reclaim that, it can fade lower. If it reclaims that, it can push. So my strategy is same. After hours, I see a pivot. I trade versus that pivot. If I get a good entry, I use that as a risk. If I bad entry, I reduce my risk, but still that 150 pivot is important. So that's what happened after hours, right? Let's go and look here. What did Tesla do? So you already saw my chart that I was talking about. It reclaimed 150 psychological level. So, that's how everyone in the community was trading from that one psychological level. 150 breakout long. John is talking about 150, and RGV actually had an entry on 150, exactly 150 entry. So that was the breakout 150 long. And then it was facing 1 hour resistance. That's fine. Few of us were doing a B minus short scalps. That's exactly fine. But then you wait for any dips, or you add wherever you wait versus 150. And look, it never broke the 512 trend. Never really broke the 512 trend. And then it broke through the resistance, 158 resistance. So the point I'm trying to say here is, when you trade after hours, you use these levels, right? Clearly I talked about the 150 level, and clearly that worked out. So that's why the levels are so important. And if I talk about Tesla in general, I think it's a lot of bad news is baked in. Shorts have covered because they did not fall down. Now Elon Musk is talking about a lot of things. I will post a detailed analysis of the earnings, but there's not too much bad news is a good news for Tesla right now, right? So not too much bad news is a good news for Tesla right now. They're talking about robots and all that, but that's all fundamental stuff, right? We don't really need to discuss it right now. But the point we want to see here for tomorrow is, do we hold 150 or not? Do we hold that level or not? So this level will be line in sand. This 1 hour level will be line in sand tomorrow. That's how I'm going to guide everyone in the community tomorrow. And we will follow the levels that we have upside resistances, 160. And then, if I bring on my clouds here, so we can see that there will be cloud resistance 170, and there's cloud resistance already broken out of that 156 resistance. So, so never get super biased. So as you see, I already said breakout 150, breakout long. So that was a nice long trade after hours for the community. So it was a good trade in the morning. We do not gamble lotos, but that was a nice all day Tesla was good for the community. We were not looking for the dips. We were looking for a good entry. Let's look at another one, NVS. NVS was a gap fill short today. For us in the community, not much range. The options were not really good. Actually had to cut the options because they were not moving. It's better for the shares. It was a gap fill short, NVS. Let's look at it. Gap fill under 98, bearish if cloud breaks. So that was the plan. So you see the plan, right? No fluke. Plan given to the community in the pre-market, and when 98 is breaking, that's where I think it's a short. So you wait for the bounces, or you add a starter and you add more. We were ready to stop out if it pushed over this cloud area, but it rejected. I said I will scratch over 34.50, but it did never push over 34.50. So I never told everybody scratch. Then it again rejected from 98.40 back to 97.24. It was nothing special, just a small short. Maybe tomorrow we watch it for a day two. Was not really. Actually the options, I lost some money on the options because they didn't move. I made a little bit on the share side, but still want to show that how the plan kind of worked, but there was not enough good move to make solid trade of that. So now let's look at Netflix, right? So what was Netflix? Netflix was our day 2 setup, day 3 setup. What was the plan? Netflix was the first one on my day 2, day 3 setup. I give you the rules. 545, 550 support pivots. Resistance pivots are 555. Support pivots 545, resistance pivots are 555. So once it breaks that 555, then that's a long, right? And first thing I noticed that it was a long, and I told everyone it's strong. I said it's long, and the target I gave everybody was 570, and the target I gave at 10 a.m. and we did hit 570, and after that my next target was 580. I told everybody use the options and roll into 580, and it's almost touched 580, 579 to the target. So Netflix was another long winner for the community. So now let's talk about another a loser idea. Although I didn't trade that, but just want to discuss that because this was the idea in the community on AFRM, and was star play bearish to short under 29, B minus long if that holds. So the thing is, it pushed right after of the clouds. Ideally, when it's over the cloud, you do not short it, right? So you do not short it. Your short is always under the cloud, and it's already pushing over 32, over 512s. So you can long it, right, versus this 29 risk, and $1, but you cannot short it. So short was a losing idea, but if you longed it, it really filled that gap versus 29. Right, so just want to recap the plan. The short was not a good idea there. All right, next what we're going to look at is American Express. I've been talking about American Express every day. You guys have seen my videos, previous YouTube recaps. On Friday I told everybody to swing it. I can show you the let me see if I can show you that. So you can see here, right, when was the first time I gave this is just for the swing setup, right? So we were long, we made money on the long American Express on Friday, right? So we made money long, you can see that all day long, bullish watch pullbacks, and then we swung it. You see, we swing the long winner. Then it was breaking out of that. It's an A plus breakout setup, all-time highs. I teach it again and again and again. One of the best long setups, repeatable. And then the target I gave everybody was 238, 240s. Look here, right? 238, 240, almost at 236. And finally we hit our first target, and I said we roll with the profits. And then we hit our 240 target, almost there on AXP, right? Almost there. So another thing I want to show you is that it was a day 2 setup right here, 231, 233. So this breakout, you take long, risk hit 512s, and that was a beautiful long trade, American Express, all day long, guys. Look at this setup. This is my favorite long setups. I have shown you previous earnings seasons on NET, on CAT, on I think Dual, many plays, right? Again, the same thing I show you again and again and again. A plus setup long, JP Morgan as well. So next one we're going to talk about is Verizon. So Verizon was our day 2 long. Let's go back. You see day 2, 38.6, 38.8. And what happens? It's over the cloud. It's bullish. I said day 2 long versus 38.50. That's the risk level I gave everyone. Day 2 sheet. And from the morning long, from 39 bucks, it went to 40 bucks, right? So you risked what, 38.50s, you risked what, 40-50 cents, and you made what, like 80-90 cents. That's double the reward of your risk. Beautiful trade there. All right, let's look at a game plan play on Pepsi. So Pepsi was, we were doing good on the other trades, but Pepsi was a short, right? So let's go to the game plan. So the game plan I gave on Pepsi was very simple. The game plan said neutral to bullish bias, support pivot is 172, the resistance is 176.10. I just messed it up here, other side, but 172.20. So on 172.20 is done on 170. I think, let me see what I messed up here. So this 176.10. So 176.10, so this was the level, support level, and then this was 177 was the resistance pivot. Look, yesterday's highs, exactly yesterday's highs, what rejected on PEP. Look here, right? You see that? That's why I say support resistance matters. That's why support resistance works. And then it was a short under the 172 level, 176.20. I told everyone it's a short. I was a little late to tell everyone, but a lot of people were already short. And even after that, So that was a Pepsi, right? So it breaks, you short it even after 10 a.m. when I was talking about the short. Even after that, it still faded another $2 for a fade of like $6, or even if you get 174 from that A plus short. 174 is the target I gave everyone, and that's where it bounced. Look there, right? 170. So there was a GE as well, which was another long winner from our game plan. So GE was, let's look at GE General Electric. So GE was a bullish bias versus the cloud, breakout over 159, and you see that what happened, right? When the 159 breakout held, pushed to the 163, right? So you see that breakout. You can trade that 10 a.m. setup that I teach, this flag range breakout, or you can trade this 59 breakout, and there was a nice win there as well. So there was GE. So quick on the IWM, right? The levels I gave on IWM was 195.60, 196.30. And what happened after that? 195.60, 196.30, IWM. Huge push to 200, huge push. Another winner in the community with the levels. Always execute the levels I give you. All right, guys, thank you so much. If you want to trade with us, join the community, come for the guidance. Very excited from the earnings season. We are going to kill it. Started the earnings season with bang, and we are going to get even find more opportunities. Take care. Bye-bye.